What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is Brian Bowman with Disc Golf Examiner, and we are here for episode 3 of Plastic Picasso, where we take a look at the hot stamps that make our sport cool. And today we're here with a new name. It's the second in the self-portrait series from Mike Sullivan, and that is by an artist named Justin Lago. As you saw in the introduction video there, I got this really sweet Prism Proton Pyro. So that's got the clear green prism rim, really nice flat profile. It is an overstable mid-range for sure, one of my most trusted discs. This one was really cool because it's got this hazy purple flight plate. It's kind of hard to see, but it's definitely got like a swirliness to it. And just ever so slightly, just a few flakes of glitter here and there. The stamp that I got on this one is one of the more common stock ones with the blue and silver. It looks really awesome in this triple foil stamp. And so when I first heard Sully let me know who was coming up in the artist series, and he said Justin Lago, and I was kind of in the dark because I've never heard that name before. I feel like you hear about the same guys over and over again, but Justin Lago, new name. So I reached out to Sully and I asked him to tell us how he met Justin and how he got involved with the self-portrait series. Let's talk to Mike real quick.
Thanks, Brian. So Justin and I met through our local disc golf scene. He's part of a group called the Bull Run Bullies that has revitalized that course. It was sort of a really kind of sad old school pitch and putt, the kind of place where you'd be embarrassed if you shot a 40 because you expect to shoot in the 30s. And then in about 2013, a couple of guys started trying to redesign it, and the effort basically got abandoned. And Justin was part of this Bull Run Bullies group who in, I think, 2018 and 2019 really got up, just decided that they were going to fix the course. They were going to install good turf tee pads. They were going to clear fairways and just make it better and more challenging and more playable. They've done a fantastic job. And so I first met him that way, and then he started posting that he does graphic design work. And so I used him for a couple of sort of basic graphic logos for, I think the Heiko Hoedown was the first time I worked with him. And, my club, Nova, may have had him do a few other things. He did some work for the Bullies. And then I really, first I think, commissioned a design from him for Duck Golf 37 last fall. And he really, it blew me away what he did with that design. And so when I decided to do this self-portrait series, I said, more people have to see what this guy is capable of. He's really talented. He loves the sport. And he comes, to us from sort of tattoo art, like I told you before. And he really just has an eye for composition. And so that's basically the story of how Lago came to be part of the series.
So yeah, thanks, Mike, for your answer on that. I love what you're doing here, getting artists out, getting them attention, and I especially love seeing these new folks pop up. Glad you got to work with them in the past. I threw up the logo there of the Duck Golf logo you had them design, and that's pretty cool. But let's get right into it. Let's get right into the questions with Justin. So again, like I mentioned, Justin, you're a relatively new name in the game here, as far as I can tell, on the disc golf scene. So I just wanted to ask, what's your background? Tell us a little bit about your work experience, how you got into this, what inspires you, and as an artist, where you're at right now.
Hey man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. To answer your first question, I'm a former U.S. Marine who worked as a visual information specialist. So I had some training in the Adobe Suite and other supportive software that allowed me to do my job while I was in. And then afterward, I went to George Mason University and was accepted for a Bachelor of Fine Art there. Shortly after that is when I discovered playing disc golf. When I fell into the sport, I started realizing that these stamps had to be created by somebody. It wasn't too long after I had started playing that I got interested in figuring out how I could be a part of that creation process. So when Mike reached out to me to participate in the Artist Series stamp, I was very humbled and honored. I thought it would be great exposure. Prior to this, I had done some work for the Northern Virginia Disc Golf Association and doing such stamps as the Duck Golf 37. Prior to that, I had done some work for Matt Nolan for the Frozen Lotus Golf Tournament at his personal course. And then prior to that, where I really got my feet wet in the stamp design community, was doing some work for the Southern Maryland Disc Golf guys.
So Sully told us in the introduction about how you guys kind of got involved working with each other. But tell me about this stamp specifically and how this is a self-portrait. Like, I love some of the design choices you made, breaking up the heavy solid foil, which I love heavy solid foils like this. But you broke it up with these really, really tight lines that, I mean, they seem even a little finer than I knew that you could get in terms of definition. You intentionally left this nice dead space. Like, you know, we have this stamp exclusion area for the dropout here. And you kind of made it a focal point as like one of the chakras or something kind of coming out there. And then your hands have all got these little symbols the whole way around that I'm guessing are like the different elements of the game, but that's just my interpretation. Tell us about this stamp, how it's a self-portrait, and some of the design decisions you made.
Really, this artist series is supposed to portray kind of a self-portrait, and I guess the way it connects with me is the actual design itself has some connection with my prior artistry in the tattooing world. I had pursued that for 4 years, but also it connects with my love for the game and how the stamp portrays the lady with the individual discs that maybe are interchangeable with that dead space in the center. Have those pieces come in and connect, and each one of those pieces is an iconic image of something you might find in the actual game. For me, the sport itself has kind of helped me find a center and helped me find some of that camaraderie that I had while I was in the military. So I wanted to portray that in this piece and understand that's how it's connected with me as a self-portrait.
So as an artist that is just breaking into the stamp game, and I say that just out of my own personal ignorance, what do you think is the most important? Is it a strong design aesthetic? Is it ability to work in crunch time? Is it the ability to conform ideas to what the sponsor or what the sponsored player wants on their disc? What skills have you specifically adapted from more traditional artistry to this disc golf stamp artistry that really helped you break out?
Okay, so to answer your question, yes, a strong aesthetic is really important, I think, not only in stamp design, but just in illustration work in general. As far as doing it for stamping, I think you're sort of limited on the space that you have, and so you kind of have to conform to the parameters of what is stampable. You know, I've worked with clients for tournaments, and we've kind of just pieced together a few ideas, and my job as a problem solver allows me to take what they have suggested to me and sort of execute that. That's how it's done.
All right, so the always important question when you're dealing with an artist, and especially now, artists are getting killed in this whole pandemic thing. Freelancers, are losing work. Most businesses are just outright shut down. And what I was kind of trying to think about is, even us guys who would normally support you with discs and donations and stuff may not have the funds to do that right now. So what are some other less non-monetary focused ways that we can help support you and other artists? And specifically, if you want to tell us where to go to support you, tell us about your websites, tell us about your social media accounts. We'd love to do whatever we can. But if you've seen any really cool, innovative ways to help artists, make it by in this tough time, let us know so we can definitely do that.
For me personally, I don't just do illustrative work. I'm also a painter and a photographer and videographer. I can be connected and contacted for those types of things as well. Also, I think the biggest thing you can, possibly do is just spread our names. If you know somebody does well in one category or another, or has a lot of talent, it'd be great if that name could be passed along for future work. I think that's probably the best way you can support artists during this time.
All right, stock easy question. Favorite disc and why?
Okay, so that's a really tough question. Champion Plastic Teal Roadrunner, sitting in the front side lake shot at Turkey Hill in Southern Maryland. It's marked Reward of Found. As far as putters, I'm a huge fan of the Ions, the Ion Firms. I love them. They sort of changed my putting game in the last few months. So MVP, if you're listening, I could use a few more of them for practice.
And of course, last but not least, what do you have coming up? What's on your horizon? I know everything's kind of up in the air right now, but do you have any stamp series planned? Do you have any other cool other types of work coming out? Tell us where we can follow you, where we can support you, and what we can look forward to.
All right, so to answer your last question, I do have some projects in the works. I'm always pursuing graphic design stuff in video and photography wherever I can. Things are a little slow because of the virus, but I do have some, commissioned disc golf paintings in the works. I do have a stamp series I've been working on based on some really cool geometric designs. Other than that, I'm free to work on other things. Thanks for the interview, and I appreciate it.
All right, guys, that was our interview with Justin Lago, who did this sweet game spirit stamp. I think I misspoke earlier. I said spirit of the game. It is called the Game Spirit. It comes with this sweet COA. I'll throw in some close-ups of that. And I want to thank Justin for his time. I want to thank Mike Sullivan for his time and for promoting these artists, doing what he can to get the names out, get everybody hyped, and, just supporting our disc golf scene in any way we can. So this is Brian Bowman, again, from Disc Golf Examiner, episode 3 of Plastic Picasso. And until next time, I hope you guys are staying safe, but keep banging those chains.